Good morning. So this is a video a little bit about what's going on in the world today. This is not propaganda, this is not hearsay, this is not misinformation because it is coming from Pfizer and the CDC themselves. I'm not sure if anybody has known, but Pfizer has been court-ordered, mandated to release documents regarding adverse reactions, risks, and other general information on the vaccine that was administered under the Emergency Authorization Use Protocol. These documents have been released under the Freedom of Information Act. So beginning March, they released 10,000 documents, and then following April, they released 11,000, and this month, May, they released a bulk of 80,000 documents. It's going to take a little bit to go through all the documents, but from what we've seen so far, it's not looking promising for Pfizer or really us. We'll get into that. So since the beginning of the pandemic, Pfizer and Moderna, but we're mostly talking about Pfizer until I reference Moderna because these are Pfizer released documents. But, everything kind of correlates. Since the beginning of the pandemic, they've been lobbying and profiteering to ensure that their business outlives the pandemic. Okay? Provided in the new documents, the SEC, Pfizer has admitted that they can't demonstrate the efficacy or safety of the vaccine. They can't show, prove, or anything that it is effective, let alone safe to inject. And this is mandated. The government has mandated everybody to get it, or else you risk unemployment. Pfizer admitted that they were trying to enter the medical marketing world, but because they weren't meeting regulations, and even if they did, they still might not get approved or be backed by some doctors. It's been about a year or two. If they wanted to improve their medicine, if they wanted to improve safety, they would. The government is most likely going to keep administering the vax under the Emergency Authorization Use Protocol, which doesn't require the vax to meet certain regulations. Hence, lack of testing to ensure foreign objects like what happened with Moderna and the stainless steel contaminating the vials doesn't happen. And maintaining a level of efficacy, no, that's not a requirement either. It doesn't have to be 70 or 80% effective. If it's a bad batch, sorry. People are injecting themselves with this, right? They're entrusting their doctors, their primary care, the government. They're entrusting everybody to do the right thing, to look out for each other, right? In this whole pandemic world. But if they're injecting themselves, compromising their immune system, because that's what happens when you inject a virus into yourself. Your body tries to fight it, combat it, and maybe make antibodies so that the next time the symptoms are less. But that's not what's happening here. These booster shots are pretty much the same thing. When I worked closely alongside by nurses, they laughed at the boosters. They thought that was ridiculous. There's no such thing as boosters, they told me. And so I thought, if the vaccines aren't even regulated, why are they pushing boosters? The boosters also compromise your immune system. Moderna has 2 boosters and Pfizer has 4. Why do we need 4 boosters? Cha-ching! It's not a conspiracy if they know that the medicine isn't effective, if it's not safe. They're outright admitting it to us. But the government, for some reason, still protects them. Why? You see, Pfizer wants to be profitable. They want shareholders to think that when they're investing their money into Pfizer's company, that they're going to have profit. They're going to be in the green. Okay, well, Pfizer admitted themselves that sales were low and they were buying other corporations and companies to look profitable. They were trying to monopolize in this situation. They wanted to be one of the biggest names out there. That's why you see everybody is sponsored by Pfizer now. CNN, Sport Network, a bunch of other places are sponsored by Pfizer. You'll see after the commercial or in the corner, sponsored by Pfizer, coming to you by Pfizer, provided by Pfizer, this, that, and the third by Pfizer. That's not a little weird? I understand that companies can cross over and expand and all that, great. But when it comes to the media, it was never about keeping people safe and healthy. It's been about a year or two. Again, if they wanted to improve and meet regulatory requirements, they would have. They wouldn't be shy of mortality rates, of risks. They would educate the public. They would encourage doctors to use their better judgment. The government shields these corporations so no legal action can take place. India denied the vax for the sole purpose that if anything were to happen, because it's not regulated, because it was an emergency use situation, they wanted to ensure that their people were safe. So if anything like the Moderna contamination happened, or lack of efficacy and more mortality rates from Pfizer, they wanted to ensure that their people were safe, that some kind of legal action would be able to take place because that's their company. They're administering something that they're saying is going to benefit the greater good. Right now, it's just looking like it's benefiting their back pocket. People criticized India. They were like, how could you do this? That's negligent, that's irresponsible. But they were also trying to create their own vaccine. I was heavily encouraged to get the vaccine. Against my better judgment, time was running out. It was either don't have any income to support myself or suffer through the adverse reactions. And when I started hearing other patients call in and be like, hi, I'm not entirely sure what to do. I've lost sensation in my limbs. I'm having heart palpitations. I can't walk. I just don't feel right. I'm supposed to console these people and try to educate them as best as I can because I'm not the doctor. I can't disclose all types of information, even though I would love to. I can't disclose any kind of medical assistance because I am not a licensing practicing doctor or nurse, which is stupid because the people that I was working alongside weren't taking these patients seriously. And they're patients that have been coming here for 30 plus years. It's a small town. There's not that many doctor's offices. So you're just gonna, hey, you want to schedule another appointment? Oh, you're feeling symptoms of COVID? Yeah, we can do a telehealth, but I'm not sure there's much I can do other than that. Or, yeah, those are weird adverse reactions. Well, you only received the first dose, so why don't we try sticking you in the other arm? That's literally what she told me. Oh, that's weird. Maybe wait on it 2 weeks. I waited 2 weeks. She was pushing me to get the second vaccine. I was like, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to anyone. People are calling in, freaking out, terrified about what's going on with their bodies, their families, people that they love, people that are compromised, are getting these vaccines thinking that it's going to help. And then they just end up with some kind of condition or loss of sensation and nothing can be done. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. They can get sued, but by shareholders, investors that put money into their pockets. Shareholder investors may be able to sue if they weren't made aware or were fooled on how profitable the vax actually is, etc. What does being profitable have to do with the well-being, with the whole reason that your company is a company? Oh, because this was all about money. Gotcha. This was never about our well-being. Gotcha. Because again, if they wanted to meet regulations, which they said that they probably wouldn't, doctors are silenced. They're paid and encouraged to submit patients to a treatment that they, 9 out of 10, probably wouldn't do themselves. The doctor that tried telling me, that's weird, try it in your other arm, hadn't received even the first dosage yet. And she was telling me how I was supposed to feel. That everybody else was calling about nothing. Okay. She really tried to convince me that I just had carpal tunnel. I've never had carpal tunnel. I've never had arthritis. I've never had anything like that in my life until receiving the first vaccine. I thought it was weird, but I have anxiety, so I'm not gonna really pay attention to it. But then my arm, literally, it felt like these two fingers were about to, like, when you have a panic attack, you can tell. Like, your heart kind of just starts fluttering, and then your hands just start kind of like strings are being pulled, like you're just crippling, you know? That's what it felt like. And I knew it wasn't just anxiety. I knew it wasn't how I was sitting. It wasn't that I was putting too much pressure on my arm. It was the vaccine. And even though I had other people calling me with the same issues, I had a girl call me, tell me that she couldn't move because she's lost sensation in all of her limbs. Not just her legs. Her legs were first, but now it's her arms. Everything feels super heavy and she can't move. And she's terrified. She also has carpal tunnel. That's anxiety too. Cool. Great. The government tries to silence them and push certain medicines, or else they would also potentially be punished and stripped of their practicing license. I want to say maybe that's the reason why they were just so nonchalant with me and the other patients. But she also didn't want to get the vaccine. She knew. And she was just, shoot up your other arm. Go for it. See what happens. No. I'm not your guinea pig. Never was, never will be. I have my own mind. And again, none of this is misinformation because this came from Pfizer. This came from the CDC themselves. We deserve to know. I felt so bad for the patients calling in, not being able to console them or steer them in any type of direction, letting them know that this too will pass. So I did some research by myself and I found the vaer.hhs.gov website, which is to report any and all adverse reaction with the vaccine. I was telling everybody about it. If anybody felt the slightest thing, please report it, because how else are we gonna know? So many people, so many cases go undocumented, so how are we supposed to know if nobody says anything? Misinformation and questioning authority is not the same thing. You're encouraging these doctors to not use their knowledge, the 13 years of schooling, and their better judgment. You just want them to push your drug. Because nobody was trying to help. Everybody was trying to save their own ass. What the government classifies as misinformation is a deviant of standard of care. What's the standard of care? Well, if it's a mainstream worldwide practice, that's the standard of care. If everybody's doing it, so are you. So are we. That's what standard of care is. Not using your knowledge or schooling or better judgment. It's just deviating away from the norm. That's not misinformation. Pfizer even admits that sales are down. In California, currently, they're attempting to pass a bill if Pfizer were to even meet regulatory requirements, that if the medical professionals still showed pushbacks or apprehension, they would still be punished. Pfizer isn't trying to improve their medicine or disclose any more information than they have to. We're reaching a point where most people in the population have either had COVID once or twice, or have known somebody that has it. So naturally, our bodies create, antibodies. And even with the vaccine, immunity only lasts so long until it drops off. And then you're susceptible again, which is why I'm encouraging everybody, every single person, to build up and fortify their immune system. There's nothing better that you can do for yourself than to fortify your immune system. Work inside out, okay? That means getting emergency packets, getting those vitamin C pills, getting those IV drip things, like anything that you can do to fortify your immune system and body, you should be good. I'm not saying that's gonna be a cure or anything like that, because again, I'm not a licensed professional, I'm not a doctor, but it's pretty much common sense that fortifying your immune system so that it's pretty much impenetrable Or even if it is, it's not going to be that dire because you're not immunocompromised, which you would be if you got the booster, because immunity only lasts so long. Man's name, but he pretty much said that we were out of the pandemic phase, that we're no longer in the red zone, and that we don't need the emergency authorization use protocol anymore. Okay, well, Pfizer can't have that. Their entire goal was to be the most profitable company, which is why they're trying to monopolize, which is why they're continuing trying to punish those who speak out, questioning them, or speak out against them, because the black and white doesn't lie. It all came from Pfizer. The redacted information, the information that was withheld, all came from Pfizer. The CDC backed it. It's not misinformation, it's not misleading, and it's not propaganda. Is it not a little bit suspicious that both Pfizer and Moderna's CFO, within the last 2 weeks of releasing these documents, have both stepped down from their positions? Is that not a little weird? If we are in the end phase of the pandemic, then why is the US buying bulk vaccines when demand isn't that high and we're not likely to use all of those vaccines? Those vaccines have to be heavily temperature controlled and used within a certain amount of time. So why are we bulk buying? Why are they pushing vaccines on babies if they can't even prove the effectiveness, let alone the cleanliness of the vaccine? These are children. They're just trying to go younger and younger. And if we're no longer in a state of emergency, how are Pfizer and Moderna still to this day being administered? I'm just genuinely in shock, and I'm so scared for the future, because this was phase 1 of trying to mandate people's bodies. I received the first vaccine and I did not receive the second because I received an adverse reaction, which is loss of sensation in limbs and chest palpitations. I didn't want to develop any kind of condition, make myself worse, knowing what I was experiencing. It just would have felt like a dumb move. Yeah, my job was put on the line. I just want you guys to take this information, think about it a little bit, do some research, and then make up your own conclusions, because they're not going to stop coming out with boosters. They're not going to stop coming out with vaccines. I understand that vaccines are important, but social distancing, masking, and not going out if you're ill helps a lot too. I understand some people have to go out and work while they're sick. Okay? Well, just because a mask makes you uncomfortable, you gotta wear it to protect other people. Oh, well, they should have got the vaccine. The government's not looking out for us. We have to look out for each other. So, take that as you will. Make your own decisions. And yeah, just protect yourselves. Until next time, I hope you guys found this eye-opening and educational. So, bye.